Postmortem has revealed that a Kenyan blogger who died in police custody was hit on the head, and his death was likely to have been caused by assault. The autopsy conducted by 5 pathologists who released a unanimous report revealed that Mr. Ojwang was also suffered neck compression and multiple soft tissue trauma. This contradicts claims made earlier by the police indicating that he sustained head injuries after hitting his head against a cell wall. His death has sparked widespread outrage in Kenya, with human rights groups demanding that police be held accountable. Mr. Ojwang was detained after the deputy police chief accused him of tarnishing his name on social media. Kenya's Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, tendered his apology on behalf of the National Police Service when he appeared before the Senate yesterday, retracting a statement the police earlier issued which said Mr. Ojwang died after hitting his head against a wall. Now, to discuss the death of Ojwang, which has sparked public outrage in Kenya, and just the extrajudicial killings in Kenya, we're joined by a former governorship aspirant, Beatrice Karu. She joins us from Nairobi. Good to have you join us.
Thank you, Precious.
So we see that protest has intensified today. Cars are being set ablaze even as we speak. President Ruto has earlier condemned the killing of Ojwang, and this is coming amidst ongoing concerns of police brutality in that country. How do you and other, activists in the country react to this?
Thank you, Precious. First and foremost, we are very much saddened because of the infringement of the freedom of rights in the country, because it's enshrined in our constitution. We have the freedom, to speech. We have the freedom to access information. We have freedom to share information. But the current situation in the country since the June 25th, 2024 protests, where the youth were protesting against the Finance Bill 2024, we have seen numerous abductions and deaths of young people within the country. And currently, even the members of parliament want to pass a bill whereby they'll have to force citizens to share their information, all their personal data, so that they can access social media presence. So with that, the citizens are feeling the government is encroaching on them. They're not allowing them to express themselves. And it is unfortunate that Albert Ojwang succumbed to that aspect of him expressing himself, whereby he was exposing corruption within the police force. And unfortunately, the Kenyan citizens do not feel that the president has actually appeased them enough, because they are calling for the resignations of the Inspector General of Police and his Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eric Lagat, who was actually the complainant that had, just like the IG has Inspector General, Douglas Kanja had said that the complainant was the Deputy Inspector General. And so Kenyans were saying, why wouldn't they allow Albert Ojwang to actually have a fair trial, actually defend himself, because the only mistake he did was to share a newspaper information that had been printed by the Standard Group. So that is where now people are feeling that the president would be having a hand in it, because by now they were saying he should have indicted the IG of police and his deputy, and then further investigation to continue, because they fear there might be a compromise when the investigations are done against them. And so that's why
if I may quickly come in, because even as you speak, my mind went back to the last protest in Kenya over a finance bill, yeah. And Kenya is just coming out, of the impact of that protest. And then they were promised, of reforms. There were also reports of police brutality in that protest. I mean, what does all of this say about the commitment of the Ruto administration to reforms within the police system? Yeah.
Obviously, the Kenyan government said they are going to do reforms, but so far the citizens feel nothing much has been done, because immediately when the president came to apologize, I remember this year he had apologized to the Gen Z, where he said if he has offended the Gen Z, but the Gen Z said the youth felt that that was not an apology, it was his ego talking, because he used the word if. And then immediately he gave that statement, we started seeing young people being abducted, people being recalled, people being surveilled, private data and information being surveilled. We also saw the Prime Minister cabinet warning the young people from writing, protest or activist kind of information on social media. Otherwise, they are not going to get jobs. So that tells you already the government is not willing to allow the citizens to actually offer their freedom of speech. They also now are introducing, a bill whereby now your private data can actually be accessed by government, and that is also through the KRA. So these are some of the things they're asking for autonomy. The citizens are asking for that autonomy, and also calling upon the various mobile providers like Safaricom, the Communication Authority of Kenya, because the citizens are actually saying that they are the ones sending the information and to the government, enabling the government to actually abduct them, and eventually, unfortunately, for some of them, end up dead and also being thrown in rivers on the roadside. Yeah, so the reforms are not yet being experienced. The government is not backing down. It still wants to put a lot of, laws against citizens expressing themselves, especially through the digital space. Yeah.
And what are the demands now? Both the European Union and the United States have called for probe into the death of Ojwang. But what will justice, mean, for his family? And then what are the demands of protesters now?
The demand for the protesters, they want the resignation of the Deputy Inspector General, that is Eric Lagat, and also the resignation of the Inspector General of Police, that is Douglas Kanja, and the OCS who was involved where Albert was actually hosted, that is in the police cells. And also for the DCI, the person who is in charge of DCI, to also resign. So that is what the Kenyans are actually demanding for. And we saw yesterday the Senate actually had proceedings where they actually called these individuals who have been, involved in this murder case. And they stood before Senate and they gave their case. But for Kenyans, they feel even the oversight body, that is the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, that they're saying it is toothless because they say it is a political tool used by those in power. And so the Kenyan citizens are calling for the independence of that Independent Policing Oversight Authority so that they are able to do the investigations without interference. So these are some of the demands the Kenyan citizens who went out to the street today are actually demanding. So they're demanding that their freedom of expression should be protected according to the law. Yes.
All right, thank you so much for your time. We're following events there. We'll continue to report as things happen in Kenya. Thank you so much, Beatrice Karu, former governorship aspirant in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay, thank you so much, Precious.